normal bladder function all day long is your little bladder fills like a water balloon from the liquid that you drink, coffee, tea, water, and it filters through the kidneys, down through the ureters, and then into this lovely bladder here. The bladder stretches like a water balloon and has a constant conversation with the bladder and pelvic floor and brain and says, oh, hey, we're about halfway full. We're about 3/4 of the way full. At that 3/4 of the way full, the bladder kind of says, oh, hey, we do need to go find a bathroom. But that doesn't mean you're going to pee yourself right away. It could still have the ability to hold everything. So having a function between brain and bladder and pelvic floor, the brain is constantly working to keep that happening, but sometimes the bladder can get a little overexcited for many reasons. We're going to talk about a few in a minute, but the bladder and the pelvic floor should work in opposition of each other. So as the bladder is filling, right, it's stretching like a water balloon, the pelvic floor down here should stay closed. And these pelvic floor muscles on this picture here, you can see how they close around that urethra. That's what we want. We want bladder neck to be held, supported, and closed with the pelvic floor, and then the bladder to keep filling. When it's time to go, and only when you say it's time to go, is when the bladder actually contracts. That bladder tissue inside the bladder is an involuntary muscle. It's different than our skeletal muscle. It contracts, pushes the urine out, and pelvic floor muscles relax. So sometimes that's why people will say, oh my gosh, I have so much trouble going to the bathroom after I've been intimate. It's because those pelvic floor muscles are now really tight, and the bladder's like, wait, the pelvic floor muscles are tight. I really should be relaxing and continuing to fill. Kind of makes sense. So a lot of people think too that their bladder, oh, I'm hearing somebody, that their bladder is a small bladder. And you can get tests to see if you really have a small bladder, but our bladder can hold anywhere up from 1.5 to 2 cups of liquid at a time. That is a lot. That is my entire mug right here. And it's a big mug. So it's kind of crazy to think that our bladder can hold that much. Do we want to walk around holding that much all day long? No. So we want to be able to go to the bathroom between 5 and 8 times throughout the day. Now, I know some of you guys are teachers and new moms and moms. How many times do you really go to the bathroom a day? Casey, I see you thinking. Caitlin, what are you thinking?
Like once or twice.
Just once or twice, right? Casey,
when I was working on the unit, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So sorry, what was, you asked how many times we go a day?
How many times are you actually peeing a day?
If I remember to drink water, I go about.
Exactly.
If I'm drinking like I should be, I probably, well, I don't know, I've been better, so I probably average about 10 times.
Yeah, that's a little more than normal. If you're drinking the right amount of liquid and you were breastfeeding and all that stuff, like 10 times is totally fine. Casey, what do you think when you're at school? I can see you moving your mouth, but I can't hear you.
5 and 8 times.
5 to 8 times?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So it's about normal is 5 to 8 times a day. So I always tell everybody about 3 to 4 hours in between the times that you go. But the best way to be able to tell is actually counting your stream by Mississippi's. So this is how I'll tell people to kind of start retraining their bladder. So let's say you sit on the toilet, stream starts, you're going to start counting 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and go. As long as the stream goes, you're going to count. So you know you will have had to truly go if you went over 8 Mississippis. So sometimes we get the urge to go and we go to the bathroom and it's like, tinkle, tinkle, you most likely did not have to go. So I'll be completely honest, I did that like 3 times before I got on this phone call because I was nervous and my bladder was going, we have to go, we have to go. So obviously if you've ever been on stage or if you were an athlete, you've probably felt the same thing. But that can happen when we've kind of disregarded our actual bladder habits. So many women will say, when I'm up in the middle of the night breastfeeding, I just go just because I'm up. Well, that ultimately is allowing our bladder to start to take over, and it's something that we actually want running in the background, kind of like a computer program, just really quiet and running in the background. So that's normal. So hopefully your bladder feels normal, and if it does not, we'll give it some help in a moment. So stress incontinence.